Alrighty, so today I'm going to be reviewing and also comparing the classic Altra Escalante range. So I'm going to be comparing the Escalante 2.5s, the Escalante 3s and also the Escalante races. So I'm going to be breaking down these shoes into different categories and scoring them out of 10. Now my goal for this video here is to provide my own personal experience with each shoe, but then also give this a broader perspective as I've read other reviews online and read other people's points of view. So my goal is to provide you with enough information so that you can feel confident in choosing which shoe is going to suit you as an individual. So whether you have more narrow or wider feet, whether you need these shoes for a workout or for a race. So I really want to give you as much insight as I can possibly so you know which shoe is going to suit you the most. So with that being said, let's get into the review and break down these shoes into the different categories. So the first category I'm going to be reviewing is the upper mesh on each of these shoes. So the Escalante 2.5s are my favourite in this category. These are the older model of the Escalantes compared to the 3s, but I feel like they really hit the mark with this upper mesh as they've made it more stretchy, flexible and breathable. As I have fairly wide feet, so this suits me as a wider footed person. I really love the feel and the comfort of this upper mesh. Like I said, it's very breathable, very flexible. Has a nice stretch, but it's also nice and soft as well, so feels really comfortable on the foot. I've given this category a 9 out of 10 rating. If you're familiar with this channel, you know I'm also a minimalist and barefoot runner, so I love the Vibram shoes as well, so that's why it suits me and my needs, as I really look for nice wide toe boxes that are accommodating, allowing the toes to splay. Now, if you prefer a thinner, tighter fit, then that's where the Escalante 3s are great in this category. They still have a nice, comfortable, breathable mesh on the upper. It's just a little bit tighter than the 2.5, so it hugs the foot a little bit more. So if you have a narrower foot, or if you're wanting to take these shoes on a faster run and you like that feeling of a secure, locked down feel, then I'd recommend these shoes for you. And they still have the classic Altra shape, so they have the nice wide toe box, so they're still nice and accommodating, just a little bit more of a snug fit to them. So for this category, I've given them a 7 out of 10. This is just purely based on personal preference. And then last but not least, we have the Escalante races. Now these are a lot more of a stripped down kind of shoe. They tried to take a lot of the weight out of these shoes, so they have a very breathable upper mesh. They have these holes right the way through them. They're probably about as tight as the Escalante 3s, so they're not as stretchy and flexible as the 2.5s, but they're still nice, wide, accommodating, comfortable upper. Quite a minimalist design, so if you're looking for more padding in a shoe, then this may not be the shoe for you. But if you want something nice, lightweight and super breathable, then these are the shoe for you. And for this category, I gave them an 8 out of 10. Now the next category is the midsole. So I'm going to start with the Escalante 2.5s again. For this category, I gave them an 8 out of 10. I really love this shoe. On the website, it mentions that the foam is their classic Ultra Ego with the inner flex in them, so it allows the feet to kind of move about and flex naturally. So as you can see, they have a nice bit of flexibility to them. They feel nice, soft and bouncy underfoot, but they still provide good ground feel and feedback. So I can still feel the surfaces and the terrain that I'm running on, so whether it's the road or even grass and trails, I still get a good amount of feedback while also getting a good amount of energy return. So soft and bouncy are the two words that come to mind. So they come in at a 24mm stack, so they are certainly not a highly cushioned super plushy shoe, so there are a lot softer shoes out there on the market, but I find this hits a really nice balance. They are soft enough to give you good energy return. They're still very comfortable on long runs, and if you need to pick up the pace in them, they also do the trick there. And they're great over different terrain, through grass, through road. Maybe not the technical trails, but still a great shoe. Now the Escalante 3s, which are the newer model, the website states that they have the exact same midsole as the 2.5s. It says that it's the Ultra Ego foam with the Interflex, but unfortunately the running experience says otherwise. So I've only given this shoe a 6 out of 10 in this rating, and simply because they just feel a bit lifeless when I hit the pavements. There's not really much else I can say about it. I'm not sure what they've done differently with this shoe to give it such a different feel than the 2.5s. I was really optimistic when I first bought these shoes. I was thinking it would be an updated and upgraded shoe compared to the 2.5s, but somehow they missed the mark on this shoe in my opinion. However, I have read reviews where other people love this shoe. But basically they feel a bit more rigid. They feel stiffer than the 2.5s, and they just simply don't feel like they have as much energy return in the shoe. Now, because they're a bit more rigid, there's the potential that they have a bit more snap to them when you're picking up the pace. So they do feel okay if I'm going for a faster tempo run, for example. But yeah, unfortunately, I feel like they missed the mark on this shoe. So just a 6 out of 10 in this category for the Escalante 3s. And for the Escalante races, I've given them a 7 out of 10. Now on their website, they say that they have a race-tuned Ultra Ego foam. So I'm not sure exactly what that means. I find that feels like an exact hybrid between the 2.5 and the 3s. So this shoe feels stiffer than the 2.5s, but a little bit softer than the 3s. It has a slightly shorter stack height. So the 2.5 and the 3 come in at 24 millimeters. This Escalante Racer comes in at 22 millimeters. But it's a very small difference. You don't really notice the difference in height underfoot, but it's a nice light shoe. It has a good snap to it. It has a little bit of bounce to it. Not as much as the 2.5s, but still enough, I find, over a short distance. So if you're doing tempo runs, or you might be doing some intervals on the track or on the road, then these are a great lightweight shoe for those kind of workouts. I would not take these on a super long run unless you're highly conditioned to more minimalist footwear, but on shorter runs they are great. Now the next category, we're going to be reviewing the midfoot of the shoes. So for the Escalante 2.5s, I've given this a 9 out of 10. As I spoke earlier with the upper mesh, it follows right the way through and provides this nice wider fit if you need to. You can obviously tighten the shoe up with the laces if you want a bit of a tighter fit, but I find the breathability, the softness of the upper, and the flexibility of it as well allows you to really find a really nice fit through the midfoot. There is no rubbing. I've never had any blisters in these shoes. They've always felt super comfortable. So it's just a really nice fit through the midfoot. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a wider foot. So if you're more of a narrow-footed person, then that's where I would say you would probably want to go for the Escalante 3s. So they are just slightly tighter. I believe that Altra mentioned that the shape of the shoe is exactly the same as the 2.5s. However, wearing them, the midfoot certainly feels tighter. I'm not sure exactly why. The only reason I can think of is that the mesh is just simply tighter. But I did find I had to loosen the laces quite a lot to get a nice comfortable fit, as I was getting rubbing and blisters on the shoe. And unfortunately, they've added in these plastic attachments for the bottom 2 holes where the laces are on both sides of the shoe. And if you place your finger inside the shoe, you can feel the plastic. And I found this very uncomfortable when I first wore the shoes. Now that I've worn them more so and I've loosened the laces, it's not as noticeable. But I feel like this was maybe a great idea in essence, but it just makes the shoe a bit less comfortable, unfortunately. So I've only given this a 6 out of 10 for the midfoot on the Escalante 3s. Now for the racers, I've given them an 8 out of 10. The breathable mesh with these holes in them runs right up through to the midfoot as well, so you get this nice breathability. It's very comfortable, especially on a hot day. It's almost like you got a bit of air conditioning going through these shoes. Now they're not as flexible as the 2.5s, but they still are nice and roomy, and you can lock them down fairly well if you want a tighter fit for a faster tempo run, or maybe you might be doing a 5k road race or a park run, for example. So these would be a great shoe in those instances. It's a very minimalist design, so if you prefer more padding, then you may not feel the shoe is as comfortable. But if you're into the minimalist design and you want a nice lightweight breathable shoe with a good fit overall, then this is a great shoe for that. So the next category is the heel cup and the tongue. Now for the 2.5s, it's quite a minimalist design, so I've only given it a 6 out of 10 for this category. However, personally, I actually prefer this minimalist design. So the tongue is very minimal, it's very thin, there's not much to it. And the heel cup is very nicely shaped. I find it really hugs the foot nicely, gives it enough padding for it to feel comfortable. I've never had any rubbing or any blisters or anything in the shoe. So personally speaking, I really love this minimalist design. However, reading reviews online, most people prefer the Escalante 3s as they've upgraded and added more padding. So once again, it comes down to personal preference. Even though I prefer the 2.5s, I only gave it a rating of 6 out of 10 because I feel that's fair in terms of the general consensus where most people want a bit more padding and support. So that's where the Escalante 3s come in. I've given this shoe a 7 out of 10. They've added a little bit more padding to the tongue, and I feel as though the heel cup and around the sides is a little bit thicker with the padding as well. So if you're someone who wants a bit more of that comfort and support, then the 3s I would say would be your go-to shoe in that. For this category, the shape and the fit feels pretty much the same as the 2.5s. It hugs the heel nicely, there's no slipping, and yeah, the addition to the extra padding I believe will suit most people. And for the Escalante Racer, as far as I can see, this is exactly the same design as the Escalante 2.5s. Minimalist tongue design, the same amount of padding and fit on the heel. So I gave this a 6 out of 10 as well, and not really much else to say. Exactly the same as the 2.5s. Now I also decided to add a bonus category into this overall rating. So this category is just the weight of the shoes. Now I believe that on the website when they display the weight of the shoes, I think it's a US 9 men's shoe. So we'll be basing the weight of the shoes based on the figures that they've given us on the website. So I'm just going to do this in a point system, 1, 2 and 3. So the lightest shoe is going to get 3 points and the heaviest shoe is going to get 1 point. So the lightest shoe for 3 points is the Escalante Racer. Comes in at 193 grams, so it's a very stripped down, nice lightweight shoe. The theme of this review, you will have picked up that the shoe is great over shorter distances due to its lightweight minimalist design. So the overall reduction in weight really adds to that performance over these shorter distances. Now the next shoe is the Escalante 2.5s. They come in at 241 grams. So they get 2 points for this category, and then the Escalante 3s come in at 263 grams. So they get 1 point for this category. And even as the heaviest shoe in this category, 263 grams is still fairly lightweight. So all of these shoes perform very well in that category. So which shoe is my personal winner? So let's tally up the scores now, and you're probably not surprised the Escalante 2.5s came in with the highest. They came in with 34 points. This is my favourite shoe of the three for its versatility, its comfort and its overall structure and design. Now the Racer comes in at a close second with 32 points. Like I've mentioned throughout this video, it's a nice, well-shaped, well-fitted shoe. It's breathable, it's lightweight, and it's great over short distances. And last but not least, the Escalante 3s come in at 27.5 points. So unfortunately, personally speaking, I believe the newer model of the Escalantes missed the mark in a few of these categories. There are some upgrades that I believe a lot of people will prefer. So if you are looking for a more narrow, snug, tighter lockdown shoe with a bit more overall padding, and you can put up with the lack of bounce in the midsole cushioning, then I would say you'll prefer the Escalante 3s. If you're looking for a nice, flexible, stretchy, comfortable, responsive, wider shoe, then I would go for the Escalante 2.5s. If you're looking for a nice, breathable, trimmed down, lightweight shoe for your tempo runs or your interval runs on the road, then that's where the Escalante Racer will probably suit your needs. So I would suggest going out and checking out other reviews online. You can check out the website, you can check out other YouTube reviews, do a bit of research before you try out these shoes. The 2.5s are a little bit harder to come across now as they are an older model, but if you can find some online, they're generally cheaper than the Escalante 3s, so you can save a little bit of money there. The Escalante Racers were originally going to be a temporary shoe. I believe it was for a certain marathon, I can't remember exactly, but because they had such positive feedback, they ended up putting them into their lineup as a staple in their lineup. So I hope this review video has been helpful, provided you a bit of clarity as to which shoe is going to suit your needs specifically. Now I have a lot more videos on the way. I've got some more exercise tutorials coming out that's going to help strengthen you up as a runner. I have more training concept videos on their way that are going to help expand your mind and understand what you're capable of, not just physically, but just in general when it comes to health and fitness and well-being. So I really appreciate all the support so far on this channel. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Like I said, there's lots more on the way. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.